Let's go ahead and render properties, and we'll go look on the anti-aliasing now. First, what I'm going to do is just showing difference between object when we enable or disable. So as a beginning, right here I already have a few renders, and right here you can see this is one with no texture or object anti-aliasing is enabled. So you can see it's have a sharp edge. The next one is when you enable just default values, you can see it start adding those edges a little bit more. If you're going after a little bit sharper effect, and we'll look in a second how to set this, as you can see on the edges we add a little bit more. However, in some cases we may have a little bit more artifact if we add on the edge detection. So again, before you can see right here, and right here is our texture anti-aliasing, so we can kind of almost look and compare. You can see, of course, the textures, it does affect object will affect as well anti-aliasing. So, but this is just texture. Okay, let's go look right now on the properties what was modified. Right here you can see the both disable object and texture. So let's go in enable our object anti-aliasing, and then we're going inside the edit properties. So right here you can see object is enabled, and we have two options. We have it optimize and systematic. The optimize method, it consists of super sampling, so it's going to take those areas, but it's only will work in the areas where transitions found from the past render. So if you render one after another one, it will a little bit work better, because it's look for those areas where transition found and try to optimize just in those areas. Systematic, it will super sample every single pixel in the picture and doing pass. So in some cases you can one can save time, other one give you a little bit better result, but again it is many cases optimize will work just fine. Next we have an anti-aliasing strategy, and this has allowed us to define how we want to. For example, you saw some artifacts was created, and it's because we're using crisp or sharp. Actually, sharp give you nice edge, but sometimes when you have dark and white, you can have it those effects of the rail kind of going around them. So it depends which one you're using. But again, here's will be how the weight of the pixel is calculating. So we have it automatic, and the render will use it most adapted for each kind of scenario. Mostly it will be around sharp what was using in many cases, but depend on some that maybe switch to different type. So the crisp one is the most accurate method, and again, but this is will require a lot of sampling, and sampling, and says it will go through all the images and sampling pixels and try to readjust between them, and this is will eliminate a lot of noise from yours, but it is again used in the prior version of the Vue, and it's take a little bit time, so it was optimizing sharp. It is kind of ideal almost for all still renders, so it's will efficiently eliminate some noise and creating. So in many cases when you set up sharp, it's probably your main strategy. However, stove, it's add a little bit more blur to this and less noise. Work maybe better if you do the clouds kind of, and or some fog type, some softer. You probably want to go to the soft type. It will remove noise that many times will generate it inside those volumetric materials. And a blurry, it will produce obviously more blurry effect, and most time if you use it in some maybe fast motions or animations, so you may want to use it this type of the strategy. So let's go on, we'll set sharp. Okay, we'll just leave it. So in this case we determine how many arrays will launch to analyze our scenery. So you can have it a minimum, it's your first when you set, and by default it should be around 3 or 5 if I'm right, and maximum it's when second time is launched. And if you want very smooth, you can go up to 1024. In some versions, like artist versions, you have it limited to 64 maximum, so it's depending on what version you have it. But again, if you want smoother, you want to increase your first and second minimum and maximum launch of the subrays, so they're analyzing the edges. So the next we have the options regular sub pixel sampling. So when this option is selected, the subrays will place exactly in every subpixel, in every pixel in the image. Otherwise, it is subrays will cast randomly in each pixel. So it's different how it's will placing. In many cases, you want to keep this check in. However, if you have some parents type parent effect like multiple mirrors or something repetition in some parents on a texturing, so it may produce some of those mirror artifacts. So in this case, you want uncheck, so it will randomize in a way it's going, so you will remove some of those, you know, kind of like line artifact it's happening, but most time you will never use it, and regular will work better in many cases. Okay, the quality threshold, the contrast, it's work on a color base, and this is what's used mostly in early versions of the Vue. And a new one, you also can use it as a geometry, and geometry, it will take this object IDs and analyze the edge between those objects. So you remember like before when we look on the multipass and we have all these different objects, different layering. So this is what will happen here. It take those objects and determine the edge of the object between different object IDs, and then we'll analyze those edges and work with them. Again, here it's simple, it's faster, or you have much better quality, but quite a bit slow. So as an example, when I have this setting set right here, this is took about 4 hours render this picture, versus if we're going way down, for example, as default settings, versus about 30 minutes. So you can see just small changes currently for this image was affecting dramatically on the render time. Okay, then next we have it also texture anti-aliasing, and this is control how many automatic blurring will appear on material in a sense. So same things we can enable, and similar things we have it on the how on the textures. Mostly it will be visible like a grass. If you have some texture, repeating texture of the grass, right here we have it from crisp to smooth. It's amount similar to, if you remember right here, strategy. So we'll have it strategy to blur more applied to this, or less blur applied overall to the texture. The texture filtering will also apply not just the image based, also to the fractal. So if you have it some fractal texturing when it's too high bumps or does not look right, or you want a little bit more smoother filtering, so you can apply the texture filtering. Will have it blend a little bit more. For example, if you have it grass patches with fractal between green and yellow, so increasing the smoothness will blend them a little bit closer together, and so it's another ways you can control that. Okay, it will be similar pass, minimum and maximum first and second pass. The recompute subrays, if this is checked, the reflected and refracting rays will be traced also for each texture pixel. So if you have it water and you have it maybe reflection on a plant or something, you want apply to this texture blurring to that as well, so you can increase the recompute subrays. It will increase time because it's need to calculate all those subrays of the reflections or refractions. Okay, and the same quality threshold, the better, slower or faster. So it's same, you win in something or losing some other stuff. Okay, so let's go click OK. The additional options also include energy conservative, more optimization, anti-aliasing Z depth. So we add anti-aliasing to the our Z depth if we save additional information in the image. If you remember, it's like gray color to this, and it uses GPU anti-aliasing if your video card does support GPU utilization.